Hello and welcome to episode 3 of this creature's Let's Play. Today we'll focus on genetics and splicing. In the creatures universe, the main creatures are Norns, Ettins and Grendels. They cannot crossbreed naturally. There are some agents that you can inject into the world that could help with this. Today we'll be putting various kinds of creatures into the splicing machine and seeing the results as they're spliced together and their genes mix. To start things off, I'm just going to collect a bunch of eggs and take these to the main ship hull so they can hatch. I'm getting a variety of Norn eggs as well as Ettins and Grendels. I'm using these two bays in the ship. So this is a jettison bay. Anything you put in here, if you press the green button, it gets jettisoned into space and immediately destroyed. So it's a nice area to keep the creatures so that they don't wander off. I'm going to put the first Norn in the pod, and as soon as the second Norn hatches, I'll place that one in. For these experiments, I'm not going to bother naming all of them because we'll be splicing a lot of them together. So using the agent help tool, you can always click on any agents in the world and you'll receive this pop-up which explains what this machine does. So now we have two very different creatures in the splicer. Pressing the green button splices them together, so the first two Norns will die and then a new one is immediately created at the baby stage. You can see here it says generation 2 and then that it was spliced, so it wasn't born, and you can also click through to the family tree. I believe this is a cosmic Norn. So again, we can see there's a picture, it says generation 1, placing it into the pod. Pressing the green button and immediately we have a new one, and as we go along, the genetics will start to mix. So now we can see this is a generation 2. Following this process, you can mix together all of the different creatures, not just Norns, but you can mix in Ettins and Grendels to their genetics. So we'll just rinse and repeat this process a few times, and each time we can take a look at the result and how the genetics have come together. I'm going to place out some more eggs so that these can hatch in the meantime. If we take a look at the information, we can see it's already a generation 7. I'll just put this Grendel with the other one and then move this toxic Norn. We'll splice this one with our generation 7 Norn. Sometimes the results are very minor, other times you'll see major changes. And throughout the splicing today, we'll see if we can come across a very unique genetic mutation. So now let's start splicing some Grendels. I have these two, which I'll splice together. So we see here they're a different genetic kind, so we'll splice them together as well. And now we'll mix in an Ettin. Now we have a crossbreed between Grendels and Ettins. This does not naturally occur. The game engine, as I previously mentioned, does not allow for crossbreeding naturally. So even if you were to put an Ettin and a Norn or a Grendel and an Ettin together, under the right circumstances, they will never breed. Now we'll mix this Grendel with the Norn. We can see the Grendel's tail, end and hands are Norn and the rest of it remains Grendel. Yes, come little one, you were just born and now we'll just immediately throw you into the splicing machine. We can see a lot of the genetics has been reversed because this time around it's majority Norn. We'll just keep on splicing different creatures together to see if we can come across any unique genetic mutations. In episode 2, we had some Norns that we were following, so let's just go and check on them to see what they've been up to. And we'll move this one back to the Norn terrarium. They usually end up getting sick if they spend too much time in the jungle terrarium because it's very humid here. I'll also just get them some more food. And these are the little twins that were born in episode 2. Now we have some more that we can splice together. While we're at the ship hull waiting for more of the eggs to hatch, I also want to take a moment to show the functionality of the replicator. So things that you put in this pod you can replicate, however you cannot replicate live creatures. Any kind of creature, Norn, Ettin or Grendel. That being said, you can definitely replicate unhatched eggs as many times as you want. And I'll replicate this egg so that we have 3 copies of it, and then once it's hatched you'll see that the creature that is born is the same, however the genetic markers are different because each creature, even if there are twins or in this case clones, they still retain a different genetic marker. We'll also just return these grazers back to the Norn terrarium and continue with the splicing. I see our cloned eggs are starting to hatch. And here is the first one. Also showcasing how the jettison bay works, so any creature in here, there's a countdown. You can put anything in here and it's immediately ejected into space and destroyed. Any spliced creatures can be reintegrated into the Norn society. They will age and grow up exactly as any other creature would. And we can see here with these the cloned egg, so they look the same, but their genetic information is different. So we'll splice these two together. As soon as the generations get too high, it says insufficient energy for splicing because it's a limitation in the splicer itself. We can see here that we have enough bioenergy, so that is not the block. It's a limitation on the game. Here we can see this Grendel has beat the Norn to death before I could get back here, so we'll just eject him into space. Norn bodies remain there and they turn into a purple cloud and disappear after death. Our Norns that we've left, they've started to age, the adult ones, and the little ones have grown up. Going to the medical bay where we can check all sorts of information. Under the graph for health, the life has significantly dropped. If we inject Alex with life, this will increase his lifespan, so it will stop him from aging into the next phase, and it will keep him alive indefinitely, assuming that you regularly return for these injections. Let's lay some more eggs that we can go and splice. I'll just leave them some food, because they've been in the pod for a long time. Let's get them some cheese. I'm just going to give these generational names and then export them from the world because I can't continue the splicing anymore. And then at the same time, I will import the creatures that we exported in episode 1 and 2. These ones the game introduces automatically, because the world always tries to balance having 2 Grendels and 2 Ettins at the same time. So I will import all of these back into the world and then we can splice them. I'll splice the 2 Grendels together. Then we'll add a Norn into the mix. Well, that really is a face only a mother could love. I've never been a fan of the Grendels. We'll add some Ettins into the splicing mix now. We can go and introduce it into the Norn terrarium. And then I'll also just age it up using the chaos commands. I made a post about chaos commands last week on the channel to explain how they work, what they are, and where you can find different chaos codes. For the next episode, we'll focus on Grendels Unleashed. We're going to hatch a few Grendels and have them run around the world and see how they interact with the world, as well as what they do when they come across other Ettins and Norns.